Hi, we're here today with Jon Goldman, who was speaking at the convention, is Chief Executive Officer of Brand Launcher, and has a tremendous amount, came in from Baltimore. What are you doing with Brand Launcher?
Brand Launcher is designed to help leaders actualize their greatest potential through a process we call simplify, codify, and multiply in simchas chaim, in a sense of joy of life.
Okay, so a little more simple.
A simpler.
Little more simple.
So, look,
It's meant for someone like me. It's meant for
we work with people who, for the most part, people who run and own their own business or the leaders in the business.
Okay.
And our mission, what we're totally passionate about, is empowering leaders, and we believe most people are leaders, to actualize, not just work towards, but actualize their greatest potential through a process that we call simplify, codify, and multiply. To simplify the complexities of running a business and being a leader, codify it, create a code, like the Maimonides created a code of living, and to multiply through the law of multiplication of sales and marketing, and also by building teams and systems. And we do that with a sense of joy in life.
So the simplify, is that involved with like prioritizing? What matters?
Well, we first and foremost start with what matters most.
Right. So how do you
like what really
out,
matters?
How do you figure out what matters most?
Well, we have an assessment, and the assessment allows you to look at your organization like it's a boat. So if you're in business or if you're running any entrepreneurial or organization, what you have is a boat. And the front end of your boat is what we'll call your sales and marketing, making money, making promises. So you got a big sail that's pulling your boat. If you're not making sales, if you're not raising funds, if you're not marketing, nothing's happening. That's making promises. And then,
so is sales and making promises your first priority?
No. We look at the boat like it's a whole.
Okay, so
sales
the
and marketing.
whole boat is connected as one priority.
There's 3 parts to the boat.
Okay.
The first part is sales and marketing, making promises. The back end of the boat is what we call your freedom team and your freedom system. That's keeping promises.
Right.
So every organization, if you want to be a leader, you have to do what we call OPW, other people's work. Other people have to do it. So you need a team and a system. And what we're looking for is a freedom team and a freedom system. I can explain what that means. And the third part of the boat is you, the captain, you, the leader. And the question is, how do you leverage each of those? And so that's kind of where we put our focus. Because if you do that, then you can actually build an asset. I used to own a very large company, and we built it, and I sold out. And you could either have an asset that you can sell or keep, but an asset you should reap so that you can actualize your greatest potential.
So let's say you make the promises, and you keep the promises, you exceed the promises, but the customer does not perceive that.
You didn't do it then.
Then what? Yeah.
There's three parts to. The idea is to build a compelling organization. There are 3 components to a compelling organization. First and foremost is it's compelling to your audience. Second, it's compelling to you, the stakeholder or leader. And thirdly, it's compelling to your team. If you miss any one of those 3, it's not compelling.
It's compelling to your customers, your audience, or your team. So.
And to you. In other words, if it's profitable but it's lousy to work there, it's no good. If it's really great to be a customer, but you're not making any money, it's no good. Or if it's really great for you to make a lot of money, but customers don't like coming, so you haven't accomplished anything.
But what about if you're going, because you have a client, a customer, right? But really, you have many. I love when people say, "Oh, an entrepreneur, then you won't have a boss." And I'm like, no, you'll just have like
more bosses.
Hundreds or thousands of bosses. And you have, say, for example, the person that hired you, and then you have their team. And somehow, I mean, really, if you go on a contract or whatever, you made a promise to the person you made a contract with who runs a team, if they are disjointed or whatever, you need to keep everyone in the company happy. That's your responsibility.
So if your question is, how do you deal with your team?
No, somebody else's team.
How do you deal with someone else's team?
Right, so you said, my question was, you make a promise, you exceed a promise. Customer says, that's not what happened. then you say, then you didn't do it. Then you didn't deliver on the promise. Now, so my question is, let's say you've got, I mean, you know this, if you've had clients, customers, right? They have their whole team, organizations, stakeholders, pressures, everything like that. So really, you've got these two huge amounts of
conflict, potential conflict. And so your question is, how do you resolve and work through the conflict?
Or, I mean, I'm not even sure how it occurs that if you have, like you said, you make a promise, you keep a promise. And so I said, you make a promise, you exceed a promise.
Okay.
Customer says, didn't.
Okay.
Now, in writing, you clearly did if you have a contract, right? If you kept a contract and you have that. But if you have all these other people, stakeholders, how many within that group are you making a promise to that you're supposed to be
who you're making a promise to is
dependent
on your organization. Look, we have a client, Nick Sorello from Nick's Pizza in Chicago.
Okay.
So Nick has a compelling company. What was our definition of a compelling company? It's compelling to your customers, compelling to the stakeholder, compelling to the team.
Right.
So now, in terms of satisfaction, his customer satisfaction is over 98%. It's the 6th most profitable independent pizza restaurant in America. You know how many restaurants there are in America?
A lot.
The pizza restaurants?
Right.
And his turnover is 125% better than the industry average. Now, here's what's crazy about it. The average tip is about $27. So what would be a typical tip? Well, let's call it $5. Right? 20%, maybe you're generous. What if one of their waitresses got a $1,000 tip? What would you say? What's going on? Like, what's she doing for a $1,000 tip? What if it happened a second time? Another waitress got a $1,000 tip. Blue collar Illinois. What if it happened a third time? That's already a, how do you say chazaka? It's already a...
it becomes something
pattern.
that's a
It's
pattern
right.
that is
So if it happens 3 times,
established.
now if it happens 4 times, it happens a 4th time. So what's going on there?
Right.
So Nick's Pizza they exceed that expectation. And they're very, very clear. He has a freedom team, he has a freedom system. And it's driven first and foremost by what we call the MVP, your mission, your values, and your purpose. And then you take that mission, values, and purpose, which is where most people fall apart, and then you translate it into KPIs, key performance indicators. So let's get clear here. There's something called the grandma rule. One of their values is you treat everyone, would you do that if your grandma were here?
Right.
And so now, how do you measure that in terms of key performance indicators? So did you greet a person when they're within 5 feet of you? And do you treat them like they're your grandma? Or another example is there's a woman who has a company called Bridgeport Financial. And what she did was she said, they're in the collection industry. And she said, we treat people like they're family. And so we're going to exceed expectations. One of the things we're going to measure, as Meg Whitman from eBay says, if it moves, measure it. And so we want to measure activities and results.
Right.
So the activities they're going to measure are thank you notes. So here it is. You owe Sears $400, and I'm calling you to collect it. And after we get off the phone, I'm going to send you a thank you note. Their rate of collection is 300% higher than the industry average, because they've taken their values and they've turned it into something that's measurable. So it's not just like one of those posters up on the wall, a success story poster. Oh yeah, we're all like rowing together, right? So now, how can you exceed expectations? Is you made it very clear. Here's our mission. Here's our values, what we stand for. Here's our purpose, what we're about. And then it's translated into our team. And so now people are very clear what to expect from us. And people want to go above and beyond because they're eating that and breathing that. Does it make sense what I'm saying?
It does. And I guess I still have trouble with the disconnect, which is that if somebody buys a pizza, for example, all right, and instead you give them pizza and fries and soda and some cake and you only charge them for the pizza. You far exceeded whatever they purchased. It was all within, and somebody comes and joins the party
Okay.
that didn't order the pizza.
Okay.
And
They're frustrated.
they say, well, this isn't worth the money.
They had a bad experience from their perspective, their truth.
Right.
Right. It's my truth, and might not be what happened objectively. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Here's what you're going to do. First of all, give them their money back. When in doubt, look, if you hold your fist like this, where are the fingers pointing? They're pointing to me. If I open up and I live abundantly, it's pointing to you. You never go wrong by living abundantly. So my perspective, we always give money back left, right, and center. Secondarily, most important, SW, S to the third N. Some will, some won't, so what? Next. So if you live life abundantly and you realize that's okay, some will like you, some won't like you, so what? Next. Right. So if you live S to the third N and your people understand that, hey, that's not going to work for everybody, but we were very clear about what our values are, what you can expect from us, what we can deliver on, what our promise are, so you can be clean with that. And you know what? You can't satisfy them? Fine. Take your money back and go. And this isn't the place for you, and that's okay.
Right.
Some will, some won't.
Could it be that you just so consistently exceed expectations that people then
Come to expect that?
what you've exceeded, right?
Yeah, and that's exciting because then right now,
How's that
let's
exciting?
Say, I'll show you why. I'll show you why, because right now, let's say that you have a dome, right? And the dome is 6 inches high, and this is our current level of performance. Now, let's say that we train our people and we increase it, and our next level of performance is this much higher. Now, this is now base, and that's actually exciting because now you're raising the bar. And the next level, as you continue to grow, your performance improves, and your satisfaction ratings improve, and people feel good, and that's how you become a dominant player in any market that you're in. You want to become the best, most world-class performer or player you can be in whenever you do. Tafasta Maruba, lo tafasta, tafasta, which means if you grab a lot, it's Aramaic. So it means if you grab a lot, you don't grab anything. If you grab a little bit, you grab it. And so you want to dominate every market you're in.
If you reach for too much, you end up with nothing.
You stick your hand in a pickle jar and try to pull out a bunch of pickles, you can't do it. But if you reach your jar and you take out one pickle, you can do that. And so the idea is in order for something to live, something else must die. And most people aren't willing to make that decision. In other words, you could do it all, but not all at the same time. Right. And so it's a matter of prioritizing. Say, this is more important than that. This value, this purpose. So for Nick's, it's something called the Nick's Pizza experience. That's a value. In the world of contracting, it's being able to say let's say that you are an installer. So you say we put people first. And if you put people first, that means that you're going to focus first and foremost on taking jobs that you can actually afford to pay your people. So that means that you're going to have to perform at a level where you can say no to some jobs and only take jobs that are profitable enough for you to pay people. Right. Because that's a value, and the value is now being reflected in terms of how you operate. And now you're going to attract those sorts of customers. They answer the question. There's a bomb question. Why should I buy from you if you're more expensive? Bomb question. Why should I buy from you if you're more expensive?
People never mind paying more.
Many people in this industry of contractors and of the building industry, many times they're saying, you know what, yeah, I can get it for a lower price. Right. So there's a bomb answer. You want to hear the bomb answer?
Go ahead.
The bomb answer is like this. Price versus cost. You might find someone that's a lower price, but you're not going to find a lower cost. Mm-hmm. And if you can only talk about price, you're not my hungry fish. You're not my ideal customer. Mm-hmm. You only want to talk to people that can talk about cost versus price.
Well, they say baby boomers, for example, they don't even put price on their top 3.
Right.
On their top 3 of concerns. Right.
That's true.
And they're very brand loyal. And they have $14 billion they're sitting to inherit. They plan on spending.
Right.
I mean, they've already said that they've supported their adult children already, and they don't put price on the top 3 at all. So, but I'm curious about the prioritization, the messaging, and is it possible? It's interesting. I'm in, it was the greatest insult of my whole life. No,
The
really,
greatest insult. Let's
really,
hear
this
your
is
greatest
this
insult.
is my greatest insult. I got a call a day before a book was coming out from Random House by the author, and they said, "We're just doing you a courtesy call that the books will be on the shelves tomorrow, and that there's a chapter about you." And I said, "I would have been happy to talk to you." Like, power, something in an influence, the circle of, I don't know. It's the circle of power. The upshot is that it's about the chapter about me is the culture of, basically, that the person has people around them, and so it's the personality of the entrepreneur that people are dedicated to. And I was put down with Steve Jobs and Bill Gates. And
How awesome is that?
How wonderful is that? The personality, the something of personality, the cult of personality.
Uh-huh.
That people are impacted by the cult of personality. And I thought, isn't that wonderful? I mean, yes, of course. If you're a leader, then people want to be around their leader, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so isn't that a positive? But on the flip side, I've heard it said, if you're not making enemies, you're not doing anything. But
I hear that.
I don't know.
So, in terms of the cult leader, there's different levels of leadership. There's one level of leadership like, hey, he's leading us, I'm behind him. There's another level of leadership where I'm a servant leader. And I'm making you a leader. I think that that's really the next evolution of leadership. Mm. In other words, not that I want you to follow me, but I'm going to empower you to be a leader. And I have more of an invisible sense. There are many people that are incredibly powerful and influential, but when they walk into a room, it's not like everyone's like, oh, he's so great. But when they talk about the person, it's like, he spotted my potential, and he allowed me to lead. So I think that the cult leader has actually a lot of limitation. Again, for me, I'm always looking to help people who run an organization get free from it. Free from and freedom to. So if you define freedom, what is freedom?
Right, because it feels like an anchor.
Right. And the greatest way out of that is having other people be enrolled in your mission, your values, and your purpose.
Okay, but if they are, otherwise why else would they be
for a job,
working so hard and so loyal?
Many people work for a job, but they don't really get why are we doing what we're doing. In Generation Y today, it's all about why. Why are we doing it?
But I guess I'm seeing a string where I see a similarity between the same challenges, and I'm trying to get to what the cause is. If over-delivering to customer and yet customer team is not feeling satisfied, even though they got way beyond everything they could have possibly paid for gotten. Mm-hmm. Over-delivered to community and empowered them to the point where they then kept asking for more and more. Empower team, over-deliver to team, and yet still not bought in. How can that be? How can you be over-delivering and giving everything, and yet there is still any kind of resentment? It would seem to me that if you're over-delivering, so you're keeping your promises, you're exceeding your promises, right?
Yeah.
Like mamish, literally. And yeah, there's still a resentment. Now, younger me was where was way overconfident. too much money, too young, too much success, too fast, so I was brilliant at 29, having, $100 million internet startup. And, but so a little bit older.
It sounds like you've been burned and hurt
a little bit
along
older.
the way.
Is there an entrepreneur who hasn't?
Not that I know of. Not
isn't that part of being an entrepreneur?
Being able to go through bad luck.
How could you be an entrepreneur if you're not risking and you're not, then are you really doing anything?
Right. We're going into your past of not being appreciated here.
No, I don't think appreciated matters.
Recognized, maybe.
No, I'm over-recognized. Actually,
you're over
it's
it now.
Embarrassing. It's uncomfortably embarrassing. No.
So your question was...
I'm questioning that I don't think... When you went to school, you work hard, you know how you're going to get graded. You get graded. And they tell you, do this, pass the test, fill out the questions, you get an A.
Disaster.
Okay. Completely unrelated to life at all. You go into business, you say, okay, I'm going to do all these things on my contract or my whatever, and I'm going to do more. I'm going to do all the extra credit. And I'm going to hand it in early, and I'm not going to miss any deadlines. So that means I'm going to get an A+. But instead, there's politics and people and all the stuff that school didn't prepare you for at all. And envy. I mean, just even if you are the most honest, transparent person there is, and you can figure out that I am, because we wouldn't be having this conversation like this, right? Okay, so
boil down your question to something.
How can you there's got to be something wrong. I must be doing something wrong if I'm over-delivering and people are still not happy.
So it would seem to me that Mordechai, who is in a city called Shushan, after he saved the entire city from a desolation, it said that most of the people liked him. Even though he was like the greatest rock star ever, and he saved many people, so some will, some won't, so what next? And if you like, I can share with you my most vulnerable thing that I do that I don't generally share, which is how do you deal with this? In my pocket, I have here a well-worn piece of paper. And this is my one-page life plan. And in the month of August, I spend about a month preparing it. And this gives you...
So you do this once a year?
Once a year.
Okay.
Before Rosh Hashanah. And...
The Jewish New Year.
Before the Jewish New Year. And I have in here a few different components of it. Number one is my life purpose. I review my life purpose, my positive life purpose all the time. Next is I have my fixing, what I have to fix. Like I have character traits or things in my life I have to fix. Then I have my yearly direction, when I focus on this year, and it changes every year. And then I have my wheel of balance, my wheel of life, which for me includes learning and my spiritual practice and my family, and includes my business and communal things and character traits and emotion. And I also like to rejuvenate and have that health, finances, and also with my home. Now, if I'm living according to my life plan, what I'm meant to be doing on this planet, I don't really care what other people are saying, because some will like it, some won't.
So
wow,
every year,
I've never had anyone read it before.
Does this change
very
much every year? No, I mean, do you find that it changes dramatically every year?
Some things do, some things don't.
So first,
wow. I've never had anyone else read this before.
Are you okay?
We'll see. It depends on what you say.
If you're not,
Yeah, I'm okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
You sure?
I think so.
Okay, you let me know.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna just translate some things into English as closely as I can. So
my positive life purpose.
Your overall goal or mission is to empower leaders and their teams to actualize their greatest potential through happiness.
Simplify,
of life,
codify, and multiply.
Through this is SCM, right? And with joy,
with the joy of life.
With the joy of life.
So that means.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
So that means wherever I am, If I'm focused on working with and developing a leader, I'm doing what I'm meant to be doing on this planet, right here, right now.
So this minute, you're doing what you're meant to be doing.
Right.
You
If
know
I can
you
help you,
are,
right? If I can help
because-
you,
right.
that's meaningful for me. And the people that are watching this,
Right.
if I help you as a leader develop and actualize your potential, then I'm doing it. And I don't care if someone else doesn't like it.
And this, have you found this dramatically changes every year?
My purpose doesn't change every year.
Okay. So
It's
this has been your purpose for a long, long time.
Long time.
To help.
I've tweaked it a little bit here and there.
When you had the company that you sold, is it a company that we know? Or
Goldman Promotions. It was a promotional company. We were the 27th largest out of over 25,000 in America.
Okay.
And we were doing about $35 million a year and had 175 employees, and I sold out.
Congratulations. So your completion of the world.
So I'm not sure that's public. That I don't do it publicly.
I mean,
my negative traits. That's kind of between me and.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Yearly direction is so again more on the life balance, simplify,
right, because I have
codify.
if I look at life's menu, I'm like, oh yeah, that looks good. I'll take it all. And so therefore I have to take a balance. So therefore one of the things that you'll see on there is my family. Thank God I've got 5 kids, and each day I visualize each of them, their faces, and I say their names, and I think about what do they need, what can I do with them. And so then I make sure I go and I spend time with each of them. I do special time with each of them and go on trips. And with my wife, I think about what does she need. And in that way, that's why I keep this paper in my pocket and review it every day.
I mean, that gets me, the kids get me through everything. I mean, when you hear my history, you'll be amazed. But the kids get me through everything. So visualizing the most important thing to you, that I completely understand.
That which matters most. That's what I focus on constantly. And by having a life plan, that's what keeps you focused on what matters most. Because what happens is that we get spread out all over the place on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm. Right. So that's what's interesting is that your biggest goal is business oriented, but most of
I run several nonprofits, and I mentor some of the largest nonprofit leaders in the world, and I do this not for money, but to empower them. Because if I can impact a leader, then they impact their sub-leaders and thousands of people around the globe. So that's why I focus on leaders.
Right. I see. Okay.
So it's the same thing whether I'm in business or whether I'm in the nonprofit world.
How do you decide?
I've never had anybody read this before.
Are you okay?
I'm okay. It's just really interesting.
Yeah?
Yeah, sure.
I'm trying to summarize it without sharing with people.
It's okay. I'm pretty transparent.
So, I mean, you have a tremendous amount of focus on your relationship, spiritually, and your family as the core.
Absolutely. For me.
And actually, the truth is that as I interview people all over, most successful people, that most of the people that I talk to have a spiritual relationship. That doesn't mean that most of the world does, but
look, I
most of the people that come into my world
recently. I wrote out a check.
Any religion, but that they have that as a core.
I wrote out a check to the Nazi Party recently. Why would I be writing a check to the Nazi Party? Hold on, the story's not over. So I had a client who he had a kid with cerebral palsy, really successful business guy, big company, big stuff going on, but he wasn't paying attention to his family. And so therefore what? Therefore we made a deal that every day you need to leave by 6 or 6:15 to be with your family. And if you don't, then you and I are both going to send a check to the Nazi Party. And if you do, we both wrote checks to the United Cerebral Palsy of New Jersey. And so therefore we enrolled his wife, and we enrolled his team, and we enrolled his friends. They start texting him, like, oh, you got to go now. Now, do you think that he made a difference qualitatively in his life? Like, did he actually start to, look, you can't always go. So his deal was that if I couldn't leave at that time, I'd just call my wife and let her know. But that became the exception as opposed to the rule. So do you think he actually made a shift?
Since you wrote a check to the Nazi Party, I'm guessing no.
There's no way in the world, of course. There's no way I'm going to let a check for the Nazi Party go. So I gladly sent a check to United Cerebral Palsy of New Jersey, and so did he, because there were some consequences, and because we focused on it. That which you focus on, in order for something to live, something else must die.
So you didn't write the check?
I wrote it, but didn't send it.
Oh. I don't understand.
We wrote it, and I held them in abeyance until, I don't remember, it was a month and a half or 3 months, whatever it was.
So you wrote the check and you held it,
one of each. A check to the Nazi Party. We both wrote a check to the Nazi Party and a check to the Cerebral Palsy.
And then you said that was a way of holding each of you accountable for your own success.
You bet.
So how?
And so by reviewing a life plan, by having a life plan
right.
that you review every day,
right.
that keeps you focused on what matters most.
And so I'm trying to figure out, like, all of these, all of the items in your life plan are very focused on, sorry, we have a lot of overlaps in our life that you didn't know about. During a particularly difficult time, my daughter lived with the Rosh Yeshiva in the apartment on Yeshiva Lane. And I was just asked, all right, anyway. There is, that's the good part of editing, because I don't have to explain that all.
So by everyone has their own unique wheel.
I agree with the life plan. In fact, I'm going to go do one. No, seriously, I'm going to do one.
I can actually help guide you through what it takes to do it. I got the idea from Rabbi Aryeh Niven, and he helped coach me through it.
Yeah. So I guess what I don't understand is that I look at your life plan and I say, well, those are all things that I agree with and live my life by. I mean, we share a tremendous, my focus is, and yet, how does this relate to your primary goal? Meaning goal everything else, right? So everything else is about your family and your life and your spirituality.
Not everything. I have pieces here that are very global. I have pieces here that are professional. And I focus on different parts at different times. Mm-hmm. And I spend a lot of time actually working with nonprofit leaders and my own team and my clients, and that's all part of how I do what I do.
I raised them $18 million.
Wow. I think that's a different jet.
Maybe.
They don't have that, yeah.
I was just asked to come speak for one of these at NYU.
So there are organizations on there yet that the question here, I got a great question for you, right? Okay. So what do you do when there's a clash of values? So I'll give you one that just happened last week.
I'm trying to take this and connect it to the business side, I guess is my is where I'm
Here's
not
what happened. Let me tell you the connection
from where the conversation started to and your general goal to the different points. So yeah, if you can walk me through
this, last
because
week,
I'm still feeling like disconnected, like I'm not seeing the thread.
So
that's just honest.
That's okay.
It's not your fault.
I get it.
It's
so my purpose every day is to empower leaders.
Okay.
And so I'm always focused on how do I simplify, how do I codify, and how do I multiply.
Okay.
So one of the things that's been on my plan for a year and a half is this fellow by Odysseus, right? I think he's one of the greatest in terms of business development and organizational development. I've been wanting to go, I try to go to a personal development seminar or growth experience once a year.
Okay.
Right? So I've had it there for a year and a half. He only does it once or maybe twice a year.
Okay.
And it so happens it's going to be in California in a couple of weeks. And I'm going to also be in California in a couple of weeks. So within a couple of days of this. And I said to my wife, I really want to do this. And she said, we have a friend relationship, and I don't think it's a fit for you. And I don't think that it's more important that we do this than you go there. And I didn't agree with her, but for me, I visualize my family relationships and I say, this is more important than my professional, so it's on top. And so therefore, when I had a clash, I said, this is more important than that. I have to figure out another time, another way to do it. And so that way, by reviewing my plan, I know how I'm going to, you're always going to have conflict, so therefore I know how I'm going to resolve my conflict.
Okay, but if your family is first, spending time with them is first, but if they're solely dependent on you financially,
We're okay
then,
financially.
huh?
We're okay financially.
Okay,
Maybe
but
not everybody is.
not everybody is.
Then that's a different question. This was a voluntary, above and beyond something I want to do for personal development because I'm working with leaders all over the world.
Right.
So that's how it played in for me. It wasn't. Now, what my wife said to me, she said, "Look, if you have to go speak somewhere, or you had a contract where you had to be somewhere, no problem, you can go. But this is optional for you." Okay, so.
No, I was giving you an example of a place where the conflict wasn't necessarily resolved, which is family. Spending time with family is priority, but family is financially dependent on you, and so that leads you away from family.
It's dynamic. Every day you're reviewing it. So
Right.
You're getting real. That's what's awesome about it. It's not a blanket like family's always more important. That would be unreal.
Right.
So what's
It would
real?
be impossible.
Right. So what's real is you're reviewing on a regular basis.
I mean, I like that you call this a wheel of life. You know, the whole circle of
If you keep focusing on the big rocks and keep coming back to it over a long term, you'll keep hitting those things that matter most. Because it's about the small habits and the small things that we do, right?
Yes. And there's got to be a reason for repetition of, in Hebrew, there's a word called nisionos, which literally would be translated to challenges. Some people say suffering, but it's really challenges. If you're given the same nisoyim, which is plural for nisionos, again and again, then there's got to be a reason. Then you clearly haven't passed the test.
Okay.
Yes? Or no?
Yeah, you are meant to learn something on this planet. And if you want to know what you're meant to learn, so you keep seeing those faces, you keep being faced with those challenges again and again. And that's okay.
So you have to learn, otherwise, so that you can get past
Ask the question, what am I supposed... Look, we always have two questions. This is the joy of life. The two questions are, number one, how do I accept very deeply my playing field? My physical environment, my physical situation, how do I accept it very deeply? Or my financial, or whatever it may be. If I'm a contractor, all the competition out there, or the Chinese, or the pricing, or employees, accept it. But you don't stop there. The next question is, what is my next step in actualizing my greatest potential? What is my next step? Given this playing field, I have a choice right here, right now. And then when you make that choice, it falls apart. And if it falls apart, great. And if it doesn't, then you accept it again. So it's constantly the balance between accepting very deeply and then taking an action. And then taking an action and then accepting it. And that's the secret of life. That's the secret of joy, of making it the best year ever.
I think this is what I missed, meaning that I've always said that I just do the next right thing, because that's so clear and obvious.
Okay.
What the next right thing to do is clear. I mean,
sometimes it's clear, right?
Well, generally, the very next thing is usually very clear, like to lie or not to lie.
Well, that's when it's something's hard when it's a choice between something good and something good. It's not hard when something good and something bad, right? So I'm often faced with: should I exercise? Should I study? Should I do something with my family? Should I do something for the community? Should I do something for my business? Wow, they're all competing at the regular time. They're all competing at the same time.
Okay. But what I'm saying is that you're saying, no, it's not just about doing the next right thing. It's about doing the next thing to actualize yourself.
I'm saying there's two parts.
That is way bigger than doing the next right thing. Doing the next right thing is doing what's expected of you. Actualizing yourself is bringing yourself to a whole other, in Hebrew, it would, to a whole nother level, right? To a whole nother like madrega of like, you know, that. So if instead of you're focused on doing the right thing, instead you're focused on actualizing yourself.
What am
right?
I meant to do in this incarnation, in this body, in this spacesuit? What am I here doing?
So here's what's so crazy. Here's what's crazy. My whole life, in fact, we even did market research about this. This is so embarrassing. People have wanted me to write and speak and reach out and be the brand. And in fact, articles, tons of articles. An online campaign that somebody started with hashtags that I should have my own shows and stuff. And for years, I mean, like
beautiful.
I thought that it would be self-serving. So I ran from it, even though like I knew that I wasn't being self-serving. I knew my intents. I knew that I wasn't like out to get for myself.
Therefore?
I thought other people would think that I was full of myself, or although I've learned that people will hate you regardless of what you do, or they'll love you regardless of right, exactly.
So
right.
Next.
So the point is that for all these years, and now I just said I actually created market research because I said, what are you guys in this for? Are you in this for all of our products and things that we do? And almost 100% said, no, we're in this for Gail. We want to have a relationship with her. The media said all of that. So I say, okay, that's clearly where I'm supposed to be, but something that I ran from for all of these years. Now, when I've had conversations with others who are in all different industries or whatever, they talk about claiming your space. You talk about actualization. I think they're pretty close, aren't they?
Okay.
Or no, I asked you a question and you said okay. So then you don't agree.
Well, claiming
what do you think?
Claiming your space, I don't know exactly where they're coming from because I haven't defined the term. Like in order to have a conversation about things, you have to define terms.
Right.
So I know how to define my term. I don't know how to define what does it mean to claim your space. Dogs claim their space by urinating on a tree. So I don't think that they mean that.
No.
Maybe that's part of what it means.
Right.
Maybe, I don't know if they mean actualizing, being who you're meant to be. I don't know what they mean. That's what I'm saying.
So, okay. So maybe it's possible that even the thing that... So in order to actualize, you have to be completely honest, even if it's... You have to be completely honest about what you're supposed to do and who you're supposed to be.
Right.
Because you can't actualize if you're not being honest about that.
Right. And the idea is to identify your core competency.
Right.
And your core competency, there's a process to identify your core competency. It's kind of fun and interesting. And then we're all put here with a unique set of skills and talents and resources at a place in history, a place in time, birthplace and birth order. And it's something very wonderful and very special and unique. And when you identify what that is, then every step that you're doing could be the highest possible thing you could be doing. When you're going to the bathroom, it could be something great. When you're servicing a customer, it could be great. You're doing what you're meant to be doing. I'm meant to take care of my family, so me working today is the highest actualization of who I'm meant to be. Wonderful. As opposed to, what are you doing? I'm welding today. More welding. But if the person had a clear vision and what his mission was about, what his purpose in life is, so that's where the power comes from, is when you get clear about what it is and what it's not. And most people want to do and. In order for something to live, something else must die.
Can you hand me a couple of my notebooks, please? Thank you. Let's just do this. Let's just go through the process. And then one of the bigger ones would be great. Thank you. Thanks so much. Thank you so much. I do things in sketchbooks because then I can visualize them.
Awesome.
And anyway, okay. So I did like everything that you're talking about visually. Mm-hmm. So this is, the areas that we earn income and our products, and this is
Awesome.
this is things that we do, and the and our guests, our audiences, our topics, our putting it all together. And this went to looking at all of the areas as far as the products and how it all fit together. And I'm noticing that there's nothing about me in all of this. All of our products, still nothing at all about me.
Very interesting.
And a lot of, my money. No, somebody else's wellness.
So it's beautiful that you're not focusing on,
But it's,
I see you're a servant, which is great, and you're producing. But as you get very clear what you're meant to be producing, then it gives you direction. Because what I see here is 1,000 things. And a man who chases 2 rabbits catch none.
Right. And
so my purpose in life is to help you simplify what's going on, codify it, creating some sort of process, and then multiply it out by growing your own impact. You have a tremendous opportunity for impact in the world, right?
Yeah, I do.
Right. And so
I
my
do.
relationship
I know
with
I
you
do.
right now is to help you simplify what that is. Because right now you're all over the board.
Forbes wants me to be a regular columnist. I haven't had time.
Right.
9 months. I've been just
So it's
saying
better
to
to
them,
choose-
I don't have time.
better to
And everyone
choose-
says, you're ridiculous. That's like a huge audience that you could be reaching. And it's just,
If you're as long as you're choosing actively, that's fine.
I'm not.
Right. So that's
I'm saying
that's
I
where it's
don't
at.
have time.
Right. So not having time, that's like the guy that's
That's
chopping, you know?
Right, exactly. And what's interesting is that
Take the time and
I
sharpen
had
your saw, right?
eight proposals due. Just didn't get them out.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, people were ready. They wanted to pay us, and I just ran out of time. And I watch other companies and people, and I realize that clearly I'm watching other people make the same mistakes that I'm clearly doing. So, where do we start?
You got blank paper.
I do. We're going to do my life plan,
Okay.
right? You
So-
opened up yours, so now I'm going to open up mine.
Okay. So
So the first is
first of all,
my
it's
number
not,
one
it's
goal.
not instant. It's not a goal. The first thing is your ye'ud in Hebrew. Ye'ud means purpose.
Right.
There's in popular language they call it the
Mission,
why.
don't they, often?
There's the why, what we're doing, and then what we're doing, and then how we're doing, right? So, but what I think the thing that matters most first is your purpose. What were you meant to do in this planet, in this incarnation right now? Whether you believe in incarnation or don't, it doesn't really matter. But clearly, you have a unique set of life circumstances. And so if you look down, not at the surface, but if you go into the heart of it, what am I meant to be doing here? And so there's a lot of different ways to find that out. So that's step number one. Step number two, and I call it positive life purpose. So as opposed to your negative thing that you need to fix. So what is it that you need to fix? In Hebrew, it's called tikkun. So what is the fixing that you need to do?
Within or without? The tikkun that you need to do for yourself, or the tikkun that you need for the world?
No, for yourself. What you do for the world, that's your purpose.
That's part of your purpose.
Right. Each of us also have what's called a global purpose and an individual purpose.
Yeah, I've heard it given like 3 ways that I really liked, which was that we have a global purpose to everybody just being on this planet, and then we have a purpose to our community, and then whichever community that is, and then we have a unique, what people will say in English, mission, and that mission is the set of skills and desires that you have that that God's given you matched with the things that you most want to do.
Right. So,
Which sounds very similar to what you're saying.
if you like that framework, that
No,
works.
no. I'm just.
So this framework,
reading this back the way you've said.
sure. So the next would be fixing, because we all have negative stuff. But you know what happens if you spend your whole life working on your weaknesses? You know what you end up with at the end of your life? A bunch of strong weaknesses, and that's not the goal. Extraordinary things happen from focusing on your strengths. Compensating for your weaknesses, focus on your strengths.
So your tikkun is, which is
Those
what you need to
areas
focus, focusing
which
on
are
your
the
strengths.
things-
So to increase your strengths as opposed to fix your weaknesses.
Oh, well, no, it's addressing the weak.
So
way
it is addressing the weaknesses,
it's
but you're
addressing the
saying
weaknesses.
not too much.
That's not, in other words, not my whole life isn't just fixing my weaknesses. It's playing to my strengths and compensating for my weaknesses. Sometimes you could use your strengths to overwhelm your weaknesses. So let's say that your strength is interviewing people, and your weakness is arrogance. So maybe you can interview people about humility, and now you're using your ability to be using your strength to overwhelm your weakness, for example.
Right.
So the next piece on your life plan, number 3, is, although in mine it's written as yearly direction, but it doesn't come until you finish your wheel of life. So
I was just going to say, I thought you had it as Wheel of Life.
Actually, mine is yearly direction. But before you could do yearly direction, you have to finish this step number 4, which is, so you could do yearly direction. You just can't fill it in yet until you do step number 4, which is the Wheel of Life. So step number 4 is the Wheel of Life. And everyone has a different wheel. Depends on who you are and what you're about. So what
But
are
I noticed your wheel was very focused on your family and spirituality, your personal life.
Well, it had 8 components to it.
Okay.
And so for me, one of them was learning, and another one is my spiritual component, my avoda. The third is my family. The fourth is business and professional. The 5th is global and community. The 6th is my own character traits and my own emotions. The 6th is also self, which is rejuvenation and recreation. And the next one is health and money and domestic, taking care of the things I need to do in my life.
So you have a lot. The Wheel of Life is where you put the most. It's kind of that's where you.
There's
put
different
the
focuses at different
specifics.
times of the year, by the way, and different times. Sometimes this is much more dominant than other times. For example, for me, one of the things on the domestic side is making sure I'm home on Fridays before the Sabbath comes in at a certain time. So I review that regularly, and now I'm doing much better. I buy my wife cards, blocks at a time. I give her a card every Friday. I buy flowers every Friday, and I try to do that. If I didn't have this, it would get consumed with the other things. And so in the morning, I can't tell you how many times I've opened this on a Friday morning. I've looked and said, oh yeah, I'm going to have to stop at the grocery store, and I now put on my list, buy a stack of cards, because my wife likes flower cards, beautiful cards. So I'll buy them, and I'll keep them in my car. So that reminds me. And then when I review my kids, it reminds me. And when I review my business, oh yeah, it reminds me. And that's where inspiration comes from, by reviewing it on a regular basis.
Okay.
And health. And I don't feel guilty. I used to feel guilty about having one on there, rejuvenation and health. Rejuvenation and recreation.
You meaning like time to yourself that you're not, you're being
I can't do that.
selfish or
But you know
whatever.
what? I perform better when I also take care of
Oh,
myself.
goodness. When I do these all-nighters still, I'm no good to anybody for hours.
Right. So for me, Sunday, that's how I broke my hand. Is Sunday, one of the things I do in my life is I play ultimate frisbee, because I love it.
Yeah.
And my wife's like, okay, fine, you want to go do that? It's once a week. But it energizes me, and I'm more creative when I do it.
Right.
So, but it's a small part of my life. It's not the dominant part of my life.
Right.
But by keeping in there, it energizes me.
Right. Right. So
And then I
it's
can do,
important
and when
to
I listen to this,
energy.
when I go to play, if I do the 5-second rule, if I take just 5 seconds to say, I'm doing this so I can actualize my potential, so I can do what I'm meant to be doing on this planet. Now I'm elevating that which is mundane. You know what? When I take the trash out, I'm doing this so I can actualize my potential, because I was given a family, and the greatest thing I could be doing is by loving my family, taking the trash out right now. It takes 3 seconds.
Totally agree. No, I totally agree. I believe that love is an action, is a verb.
My point, though, is by having the intention right before you do the action, it can become your greatest thing if you have a plan, because it all fits in somewhere. It's going somewhere. Otherwise, you're doing it. A lot of times people are like, it's disconnected. Like, I have to work. I hate working.
It's like a bracha before. Forget it. We'll just talk. We'll stop trying to translate, and then we'll send part of it to YU. They've been asking me for stuff for ages. Actually, they have a whole training program. So if you have kavana, and it's almost like making a bracha before something, and therefore it elevates what it is that you're doing. Right.
Right.
That what
so
you're
there's
saying.
something called Siddur Rabbi Chernovitz. He has a seder prayer called Siddur Shel Shabbos. And before you eat, if you eat and you say simple Yehi Ratzon, I'm eating so I can do Avodas HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Avodas Hashem. 1 second, not just the bracha, because what happens with our bracha is like we rattle them off.
Right.
But if you just have a little bit of intention before you actually do it, it becomes the highest possible avodah that you could do. When I go to work, if I put that intention to the work, I'm doing this so I can support my family, which is a mitzvah for me to do that, because I'm achrayas, and I pay tuition, and I can learn Torah. And when I get up in the morning, instead of just, I finally hit the bed. 3-second rule. I'm hitting the bed so that in the morning I can learn. I learn in Dirshu Koel every morning at 5:45 in the morning, right? I learn. And so now, 3 seconds, when I hit the bed, instead of just saying, finally, I'm resting so that I can now learn in the morning and do Avodas Hashem. That's awesome. 3 seconds.
Right.
Changes everything. All 8 hours, it changes and elevates it. It's part of my plan.
So, purpose was evident to you?
It took me a long time to figure it out. And testing and tweaking and thinking and talking to others and getting coached through it and modifying. I modified this again recently. I dropped the words "and their teams." And now it just says to empower leaders. It no longer says "and their teams," because it was always bothering me. Leaders and their teams. No. Now it's just leaders.
Teams are hard.
So my point is that I'm slowly editing, but the basics hasn't changed for many, many years, over 20 years. So we have to do your wheel of life.
That's where you start? Is with the wheel of life?
Your next thing is we have to fill out your wheel of life.
Well, we haven't filled out anything yet.
Yeah, but we're just doing the outline.
Right.
Right, so in the outline
So we
have
got
to go
the wheel
through.
of life. Go ahead.
No, but what's in your wheel of life?
Okay.
What are the main, most important components in your life, which are really relationships? Relationship with?
My kids.
Your family? Okay, that's one. What else? For you?
Hashem, God.
Okay, so my avodah is Hashem.
Right.
My spiritual relationship, my relationship with God. Another one. That can include davening. It can include whatever you want to include in there. What else?
It's relationships.
Well, what are the main components that you need to focus on in your life? What are the relationships that you're in relationship with? For me, I'm a business guy. Like it wouldn't be okay for me just to be a life coach. I like working with business people and leaders of organization.
Right.
I wouldn't be satisfied otherwise. It's not who I am. I also need to make parnassa for my family. I need to make a living for my family. So therefore, I'm a businessman. So therefore, that's one of my relationships. I have to take business. I call it professional concerns.
What's the relationship?
Professional concerns.
Oh.
That's my relationship.
My family depends on me financially.
Yeah, so therefore you have to have, what do you call it? Business, profession? I don't know what you call it. I call it professional concerns.
Okay.
What else is in your wheel?
So, okay. Other relationships. My audience is the people that I reach out to, the people that write me letters, that tell me that I'm changing their life.
Maybe you need to break that down a little bit.
I mean,
So for me, I broke it down between my business relationships, and then I also have something called global and community.
No, my audience, I don't mean, yeah, go ahead. What do you mean?
So global and community for me is I'm involved very deeply in the nonprofit world. I mentor some of the largest nonprofit leaders in the world and some senators. And I do this because that fits that. I'm involved in my local shul. I'm involved in my local community. I'm involved in doing Jewish entrepreneurial stuff. I'm involved in outreach. And so that all fits into that bucket for me. And then I'm constantly retooling and prioritizing. Right now I'm doing something called the chessedchallenge.com with Rabbi Pesach Krohn. And the idea is that you have a small book that you just write down one chesed per day. Just one, at the end of the day. And it starts changing your life because you focus on, you become a seek and destroy chesed person. You can show up in Shemayim with this, like this is what I did. And you do it for 40 days straight. And by having just one, like you don't go to bed until that happens. So now you start looking, can I do a chesed? Can I do a chesed? Oh, I want to make sure I've got one to write down today.
Oh, so you're talking, okay.
So for me,
I think that I have to write my audience.
Okay. You're going to need more clarity around audience.
Huge, the people I reach through my writing and talking and
okay, great. Keep moving.
The people that I reach through the work that I do,
Great.
my greater audience, the community.
Okay.
I have to. I
Beautiful.
have an obligation
You have a relationship
to them.
with them.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Now I also
then
have one on my character trait and my emotional state. I need to manage that.
But there was one before that. There was one right before that.
Well, I called it global and community concerns.
Right.
So far we've
mine
done.
is that I have to help I call it beauty, dignity, and independence. That I have to do that.
So that could be part of your
I have
global,
to do that.
communal.
It's all of the design work that I'm doing to make the world safer and better. That everything that happened to me was so.
Sure. There's no one else in the world that can do what you can do. What's behind the tears? What's behind them?
For years, Gedolim have looked at our Nisionos and tried to figure out, could someone give me a tissue, please? Napkins? Tried to figure out why we've had all this Nisoyim. Thank you. And challenges, tests, difficulties, beyond. And the pshat is that they say that, it's ridiculous. They say I'm a tzedekis. But an easier way of looking at it is the reality is that it happened because I had to help other people. And the only way I could help other people is I understood.
Klal Yisrael went down to Mitzrayim to be slaves, so now they could be a leader and understand pain.
I couldn't help the people I help if I didn't understand.
Pesach, Avadim Ayinu, each person has to see themselves as they went through it. You have a tremendous opportunity here.
No, I have to help people.
Right?
I have to. That's why all these things have happened. So I can help them.
And it's the perfect time. It can be the best year ever.
Okay, so what's the next one?
So what are the other things in your wheel of life? So for me, I have my own midot. That's very, very, the Vilna Gaon says, the purpose of Tachlis Adam, Lishborta midot, to break, so working on your character traits and your emotional state, to me, that's part of what I'm doing.
Your midos, your health.
Health I break out as something else.
If I'm not health, no, I just separated
Physical
it
health.
out. I mean, if I don't take more, thank you, if I don't put more consideration into my health, it's not good for my kids and everything else.
Right.
So I have to put that in somewhere. Sleeping right, eating better, all of those things.
That's right.
So,
And once they're down, that what we're going to do is we work on each one, and we say, what would be the biggest upgrade? What would be a dramatic upgrade in each one of these? And then you begin on your plan.
you know what the problem is I've been so busy serving clients because of finances, because of fear of finance, that I haven't been serving the people that are most important. So I haven't been writing as much as I've needed to. I mean, there's so much demands for me to be writing. And when I'm writing, I'm connecting and I'm helping people and I'm doing when I'm speaking,
The question is, how much is enough? And how do you create it? There needs to be a magic formula. The magic formula is the balance between working in your business and working on your business, and also doing some of these other things. And if you keep coming back to a plan, you'll start to find that I put the big rocks in, and now you can start to fill in with the other pieces.
Right.
But you're running. It says mikatsa ruach. Why did they suffer so much in Mitzrayim? Because they were kotzer ruach. Kotzer ruach means that they couldn't breathe. When you're constantly working like that, you have to be able to. You'll be much more powerful when you are. You'll think more creatively. You'll be more effective with less amount of time.
Right.
And then because you got your plan, you review what matters most. And you don't forget. When I think about each of my family members, I say, Friday, I reviewed this, and I realized I've got a middle daughter, and she oftentimes somehow just moves on. She's like the middle child. And so I said, you know what, this Shabbos, I'm going to spend some time with her. She doesn't like learning, so I'm not going to do the learning thing with her. We went for a walk. That's because I reviewed it, and it was there. And so if you start putting some of these things on there, your brain will start answering, how can I do it? Not why I can't do it. I'm so busy running with clients. Kotzer ruach, where's your emunas Hashem? You have a mission to do. You have something very special that no one else on the globe has. It's a balance between hishtadlus and bitachon. I want to share.
I do too much hishtadlus.
Right.
I'm always saying I'm not doing enough hishtadlus. I'm doing way too much hishtadlus.
Look.
Do you know how much hishtadlus I'm doing? Way too much.
So I have to show this to
Way
you.
too much.
Do you see this picture of this? This is done by Rachmim Lamed Cohen. So Rachmim Lamed Cohen, he drew this. What's extraordinary about it is he did it with his eyes. And he's currently in his 19th year of Lou Gehrig's disease. One Friday night he was holding a cup, making kiddush on the cup, and he started shaking, and they didn't know what it was. And then soon after that, he collapsed, and they took him to the hospital. And as they took him to the hospital, they came out and they told his wife, Elisheva, he is going to become a vegetable. He has Lou Gehrig's disease. All of his organs are going to shut down. So, quality of life. Should we just pull the plug? No way.
Right.
He pulls out of the coma. And so what's interesting about him, he got these 7th graders that no one else wanted. He did such a great job with them. They said when he was much younger, they said, take him again in 8th grade. Take him again in 9th grade. So that's going to be relevant because these are people going to come back to his life 40 years later because he invested so deeply in the relationship. He stayed one step ahead of the disease, and he got a wheelchair because he lost the use of his legs. And then what's going to happen is he was going to lose his ability to eat and drink and have his body function that way. So he got a feeding tube and all the things that go along with it. And then he knew he was going to lose his ability to use his arms, so then he got a little wheelchair like this. And then he knew that the only thing left was his ability to speak. And he knew that he was going to lose that as well. So he got a camera, that was developed by Rutgers. And in Israel, they have these, the eye tracking software for the fighter pilots. And so he put a camera on top of his laptop, and now he lost his ability to speak. And all he could do, locked in syndrome, is move his eyes, blink. He just finished his 11th book, blinking with his freaking eyes, one letter at a time, blink, and he has an on-screen keyboard. And he just did an art exhibit with 30 pieces of art on colors that are found in Tanakh. He learned Adobe Photoshop and Adobe Illustrator with his eyes. And he emailed me and said, these are the best years of my life. The best years of my life. So we developed this website, it's in process, called eventhough.com. It could be the best year of your life, even though you have major challenges. And so there are two primary components. If you want to make it the best year of your life, there are two components based on Rachman Lauman Cohen. Number one, deeply accept what is. You have your physical condition. You have your financial demands. Accept what is. So the other side is, if you just accept what is, that's the eastern part of the world. That's Yitzchak, that's Isaac. That's accepting.
Right.
The other side is Abraham, which is the Western world, making it happen, doing. So then you flip the coin and you make it happen. But when you make it happen, it's not going to work. You're busy doing your work. You're doing all this client work. And then you flip it again and you accept what is, and that's Yaakov. Making it happen, letting it happen. Making it happen, letting it happen. Accepting deeply. If you accept deeply, that's India. That's the west, the eastern part of the world. Oh, cows are holy and we just accept everything. No, we don't do that. On the other hand, the western part of the world, do. You can't just do because it falls apart. And so you do and then you accept, and life is constantly this balance between the two. And we made up these coins of happiness that if you have the balance between the two, it's an awesome experience. Right? So for you, it's about striving. You work really hard.
Yeah, I do.
You work really hard, but you know what? Other things are falling apart because of it.
Right.
And so therefore, you have to accept other stuff falling apart. But you know what? If you just simply sit and accept, you're not going to be satisfied. Your family needs you. The world needs you. Your job needs you. So then you're going to go back to striving, and you go back to having a plan and say, what is my next step in Avodas Hashem? What is my next step? What's my choice right now? And so this is always making a choice. This is accepting. And you can make it the best year ever by balancing between those two things.
I can't breathe. I don't know what's wrong.
What's going on?
I don't know. Working so hard, like from something. I don't know. I'm a professional. I'm completely falling apart. Thank you.
You're at a turning point, and you're facing it. You're accepting. The first part is accept what is. Now you can have a plan and focus.
I can feel everyone's pain. Everyone in the world. How much pain they have. And I want to fix it all.
And so start with one starfish at a time.
There's people who are in so much pain.
And you can help one starfish at a
I
time.
can help, but I'm running in circles.
In order for something to live, something else has to die. And that's okay. You can trust. You can say, Hashem, I'm doing my due diligence. I've got a plan. And then this is what I'm focused on today.
I have been working smart. I'm working 18-hour days. I mean,
it's not even productive.
it doesn't make any sense.
No. But you're doing it, you're trying to do it because of a place of love.
No, for sure. I mean, I know I'm doing it for good. I mean, that part I don't worry about very much. Meaning, I mean, I know, like, if you knew my story, there's like no question that
You're a
no matter
leader.
how hard the decisions are, I make the right decision. I mean, and I'm good with, the one thing I'm good with is, I mean, I'm good with God and I'm good with the mirror because I know, I mean, I don't lie. I don't cheat. I don't.
This is about you using the kli, the vessel that you've been given. And you're responsible to use it in the best optimal way. You want to actualize your potential, not just do.
Right.
You're so busy working in it, you're not working on it.
Right.
You
Because I'm
need
afraid.
your own team and system.
Because I'm afraid of how much how big things are going to be.
What?
Big things are going to be.
If you put your energy into it?
No, if I really do what I'm supposed to do.
So what's afraid? What are you afraid of? What do you mean so big? You afraid of people attacking you?
No, attacking me?
What
They're going to attack you anyway. Let's not sneeze.
Why don't you make it part of your condition then? How do I do this in a modest way?
I have.
It's part of my so then
I mean, I have a theorem for everything.
But how do you? In other words, this is part of my criteria. How I do it. Right? In my company, I have a set of 10 values. Our number one value is to be a mensch. I mean, if all these non-Jews that work in our company, they all know the word mensch. They know exactly what it means. Because that's a criteria for us. If we can't be a mensch, you're not part of the company. We don't want to do with you. We're not going to do it.
Yeah, I can't be dishonest. I can't break the law.
That's not our question.
That's not even like, that's totally, no, it's out of the question. It's like not even.
It's not even part of your Nekudas Bechira. Nekudas Bechira means like you're not going to go kick a dog in the stomach. That's not your choice to steal or eat treif. But you have a different level of Nekudas Bechira. You perhaps want to think about how do I leverage myself as a leader and stop being a doer and a leader.
Right. I'm afraid to step forward into the space that I'm supposed to be in.
And so that's, how do you build a team and a system?
It makes no sense.
You're so busy doing.
It makes no
but
sense.
It's not how you're going to get leverage.
No. And it makes no sense.
And so
People
it's a matter
ask
of
me.
trusting others and training others. Become a trainer. Build a team and a system around you. Stop with the arrogance that I'm the only one that can do all this. I'm not saying that you're arrogant.
No, it is arrogant.
But you're not trying to be arrogant. What I'm saying.
No, I'm not trying to be.
Right. But by investing, simplify what you do, codify what you do, and then you can start to train some other people and create a system to do it so you get more leverage.
Other people should do anything that other people should do. Are we out of time?
There was a 5:30 mincha. I think I missed it though.
Oh.
It's okay. I'll daven. It's not too late to daven. I think I missed the minyan.
Okay. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. You didn't cause it. It was my responsibility.
Other people should do, if other people can do what they should. If it's not something that only I can do uniquely, then other people can do it.
I think that there are things in you and your organization that you can train and teach other people to do. But here's where the rub. Can I tell you where the rub is?
Yeah.
You're not going to like this, but
That's fine.
you need to slow down 15% so you could speed up 50%.
Right.
You don't like to slow down.
Right.
You're going to have to slow down and make that shift. Right now, you're like 90% of your time is working in your business, in your work, 10% you're working on it.
Right.
Leaders have 80-20, 80% of your time working on things which are making the shift from important and urgent to important and not urgent. Almost everything you're doing is important and urgent.
Right.
As long as you do that, you're going to eat potato chips and fall asleep and crash at night.
Yes, that sums up my life. And I get a computer head. If you fall asleep at the computer, you're gonna like dancing your head.
So if you make the shift slowly from 80% of your time working in what you're doing, and 20% of your time working on it strategically, to 80% of your time working strategically and 20% doing it, so now you start creating a system and a group of other people that can do it as well. Asking, how can I leverage?
Right. So I just wrote, if others can, then they should. So if other people could do it, then they should do it.
Take the time to simplify the art and the science of what you do, Gabriella. The science, here's how you interview, here's the steps you go through, here's how you face person, here's what you listen for. And then the art is like, you've been doing this for years. You have a certain intuitive feel for it.
Right.
And so you document that. Really take the time to simplify and codify that so that other people can start to do it, and then start training other people to do the things that they could do it, and build a team around you. So yeah, we can keep you up in the air, but the only way you're going to do this is through OPW, other people's work. Your vision's too big for you to do it yourself.
Right.
You're burning out.
Right.
You're making Shabbos yourself, you're doing everything yourself, so to speak. I don't know whether you are or not.
Yeah.
But the idea is...
I make my own mayonnaise.
So,
I do.
So that's insane. That means that you're not using the strengths that God gave you. Empower others around you. Be a leader, not just a doer. You have caught into doer. You're totally in what's called founder's trap.
What does that mean?
Every organization has, Actualizing has something he created called the growth pattern. And there's a bell curve. So you start off as an infant, and then you become a child, and then you have early adolescence, then you have adulthood, and then you have prime of your life, and then you have aristocracy and bureaucracy and death. So at first, like you already passed, oh, I got an idea, I'd like to try to make a video, right? And then you've got, wow, we're trying to do it and we're making some money. And now, like, wow, I've got this thing going, and I have things coming and things going. Now you hit what's called founder's trap, which is burn out. Because now you hit a ceiling complexity that's based on you. As long as the organization is based on you doing everything, you are stuck and you'll have early death, chas v'shalom, God forbid. So what you want to be able to do now is start to simplify and codify what you do and start slowly peeling off those things that aren't your absolute core competency. Right. Things that can be done by others, as you said, others, if others can, others do. But you need to create the path and the plan and the vision. Where are we going? Create a vision. What's my purpose? What is our values that are absolutely essential? And then what's our mission? Take that hill. What's our next step? But let your ego get out of the way that I'm the one that can do this best. Only do that with the things that only you could do. There's plenty of other things that you're doing that other people could be doing.
Yes. Yes.
But you're going to have to slow down 15% so that you can speed up 50%. You're going to have to work on, not just in your organization. Maybe these are ideas that are valuable for you and you can think through. And by the way, as a friend, you have a friend here that will help you.
This is how big. This is the problem. That's how big.
What's the problem?
It's big.
So what's the problem?
It sounds very self-serving.
So call it something else. Call it a leader's...
It doesn't matter what you call it.
But
it doesn't matter what you call it.
So focus on
I'm
your
supposed
mission.
to be in a big place.
Okay, great. But you're not doing if you're
no,
not doing,
I'm running away from it.
If you're not doing it for yourself, fine.
I know.
So you have a voice in the back of you that is keeping you as a victim, my dear friend.
Yes.
And there's a way to shift it. There's something called the Karpman's drama triangle, K-R-P-M-A-N-S. Karpman, he created a triangle like this. It's an upside down triangle. The bottom of the triangle is the victim. You are...
I want to be a victim.
Well, you are acting like a glorified, incredibly talented, beautiful, powerful victim that's making your own mayonnaise. And there's someone called the oppressor. The oppressor having to make parnasa, having to make a job. The oppressor is all those people out there, they're going to call you self-serving. The oppressor is that voice in your head. I don't know who in your world said that you shouldn't be a celebrity. You're self-serving. But it's a situation and it's a person that's oppressing you, controlling you. So that's number one, is I'm a victim, and one part of my triangle is that there's oppressor, and then I don't want to be your rescuer, or your work being your rescuer, or like I'm going to work really hard and that's going to rescue me. So there's a way out of it. It's called TED, which is the empowerment dynamic. So instead of being a victim, what we spoke about here is being a chooser, being a co-creator with God. Choosing. Instead of being a victor, instead of being a victim, I'm choosing right here, right now. That's why the one page is so powerful. What's my next step in Avodas Hashem right now? If my next step is to share, great, I'm going to do that. And instead of being an oppressor and a controller, that's my challenges. I'm being challenged right now with this voice of being a celebrity. And instead of me being your rescuer, or your work being the rescuer, or some other friend who's, I'll talk to you about it, I'll help you out of it. No, let's have a coaching dynamic where I'm respecting you and empowering you. And they're respecting you. Don't go with people that are I'm going to do this, do that, the other. This is all about your self-empowerment, by you being able to actualize it. But that shift of being a victim, right now you feel like a victim. I have to make money. I have to work 18 hours a day. I have to. Baloney. That's not true. I don't buy it, and I don't think you do either. I can't be a celebrity because of what it means. That's someone else's definition. That got you into a victim state. I can't do that. I'm stuck. I don't think it's real. I think you have the power to choose. And those voices that are telling you that, it's not real. And you don't need to listen to them, do you?
No. It's ridiculous.
Take a deep breath.
Happen.
You're doing great. You're really courageous.
Thank you. Actually, you can own that. Because I know one of my beliefs is that if I allow the world to see that, then they can find their own courage. One of the reasons why people have excuses and don't do things is they don't see it. They don't see people in pain. They don't see people going through the process. They don't see people being authentic. And so they think they're the only ones. And therefore, since they're the only ones, that's why they can't. And so part of what I have to do, I don't mind at all. I mean, this part I don't mind, is just be completely raw and honest with the world, which there's so little of anymore. I've seen how little authenticity there is anymore. Everyone's hiding behind something, and therefore everyone thinks they're the only ones with the problems and the whatever, and so when they see that, other people have problems and they do it. I mean, you're friends, like you said. I mean,
how awesome is that?
I mean, I'll tell you, 100%. I say bracha every time I take a step. How many people get to do that?
Right, I hear you.
No, I get to walk every day.
Right.
Every day I walk. Do you know how many people can't walk?
Right.
They're so lucky.
So I would offer one word for you that might be worth considering, and that word is accountability. Being held accountable and holding others accountable. And simplify and codify what you do so that others can do it as well. And then slowing down a little bit to build your organization, you'll go much further and faster.
It's ridiculous. I mean, this is ridiculous.
What does that mean?
No, I mean, this is ridiculous. Agents want to do their job. I mean, there's all these people who want to do their job.
So
and I should just let them.
What's holding you back?
Exactly what you said. Arrogance. then I can do it better than I can. Although this week was really different. We had so much to do. I mean, we just did so much this week. You saw what we did on the website? Well, you went to the website.
I just saw your one video.
The one website. What?
The only video I saw was on the...
Oh, but this website, everything we've done in a week. I mean, so there was no way to say, no, move this or change this, or we're going to spend like 3 days on a logo, or like there was just no time. Right. It was just like, all right, if we're going to do it, fine. And then we did it. And you know what? It's been phenomenal. Has it been perfect? No. But it's been unbelievably amazing.
Better strike a blow with a crooked stick
like
than spend your whole life trying to straighten it.
Like it's been great. It's totally different. Totally different. Once I let go of perfect, we finally started getting stuff done. It was amazing.
I would refer back to accountability, and you have an organization to build. It's not just you.
Right. And I have to trust people. People say that my standards are too high.
I would also bet dollars to donuts that you have too many people that are nogea b'davar and that have hidden agendas, and that's part of what's blocking you. And so you need to find someone that you can trust without an agenda that will help empower you to be who you are.
Find somebody who doesn't have an agenda?
I guess that takes some work, doesn't it?
No, seriously.
Well,
everybody has an agenda.
Right. So
everybody wants something.
You want to be in an environment where it's safe. Your gut will tell you. If you ask Hashem and you start looking for it, you'll find that person or persons. And it might not be one person, it might be a few different people. Are you with me?
Yeah, I'm with you.
So I would hold you accountable, or I would get someone to hold you accountable to getting clear what your purpose is, and then the organization that you need to do. I would go through 4 steps. Here's the 4 steps. You ready?
Yep.
Step number 1 of 4 is I would do an assessment. Step number 2 of 4 is I would get all the issues and the opportunities clearly on one page. Issues and ops. Clear. Step number 3 of 4 is the plan. So the plan will include a red light, yellow, and a green light. Red light, what we stop doing. The yellow light, what we keep doing. And the green light, what we need to start doing. And it includes prioritization, which is not your natural tendency. You're an andaholic. There's probably a support group for you. One in the morning, in the afternoon, and also in the evening. You could do this and you could do that, right? So prioritize. And then you set clear milestones. And I'll give you a steering wheel if you want, because we have lots of them. Literal steering wheels. And you put a steering wheel, and you'll drive to the next milestone after milestone. And then you establish what are called clear KPIs, key performance indicators. You measure. What are the things that we're going to measure? What's going to drive? What are the activities? What are the results we need? And what are the activities that will drive us to those results? Key performance indicators. What are the results we want? And then what are the activities that will produce those results to affect the people we want? And then finally, the 4th step.
I thought that was 4.
No. The 4th step, that's all 3. Okay. That's all part of the plan. The 4th step is GID. You know what GID is? Get it done. So each week, you meet, have an accountability meeting, and you take a look at that beautiful plan that we created. Here's what I know for a fact. As soon as the plan hits the battlefield, it falls apart. Because all plans, as soon as they hit the battlefield, they fall apart. So therefore, you deal with the issues and the opportunities as they arise each week. That's the power of having a plan, right? And also having someone that's going to hold you accountable, and you holding others accountable. And I can assure you that training is part of it. And simplifying what you do is part of it. You're so far all over the board, if I might say, from just my perspective. There's a big sign above me that says not the truth.
No, 100%.
It's just my opinion, not the truth.
What do you... No, 100%. I'm all... No, 100%.
And so focus would be so awesome for you. And the biggest pain is that in order for something to live, something else must die. And you don't want to let anything die. But by doing that, by making the choice...
Does everyone go through this? Leaders.
Some people more than others, but once they start to embrace it, then it's liberating.
No, I'm saying, so you've been working with leaders for all these years. This has been your mission. Do they all go through this line?
No.
Why?
You have a different, you're an INFP, right? So you're intuitive and you're feeling.
ENTJ.
I'm sorry, Ian. Yeah, you're an ENTJ. You're extrovert, but you're definitely feeling. And so emotions are as palpable as this table for you. Mm-hmm. And so that's hard for you. Also, you're a visionary. And as a visionary, you see so many opportunities. The future of something is as real as the table in front of you.
Right, like it exists
and so
already.
Therefore, it's a bit ADD and it's a bit overwhelming for you. I would guess that you probably have ADD or you're ADD-like.
Yeah, no, I don't.
But the idea is how to harness what you have. And so there are several structures that you can put in place. Number one is going to be your health and your diet. Again, look, this is something we produce. It's called a launch cube. And the idea here is you put on your own oxygen mask
I've
first.
talked about that in my speeches
So
to
for you,
caregivers.
right.
Oh, no, I'm a hypocrite. I fully admit it. Like, I talk about it in my speeches.
So stop admitting it.
I've written it also.
Right. So that's part of accountability. You're not being accountable to anybody, and you're not holding anyone else accountable. He or she who makes the most decisions wins. You have all this kind of stuff and you're not making decisions. You're reacting. In our company, we celebrate decisions. We have a cowbell. When decisions made, we ring a cowbell. And when we work with clients, cowbells are made. And then next is setting up key performance indicators. So in business, it's about sales or reaching it, or like you have to make a certain amount of money. The next is building, you have a culture, a team that you want to build, people that are on board with you. And you want to craft and be very explicit about the culture that you want. An explicit culture. Take the time. What you're not willing to do is you're not taking the time to work on your own organization. There's many people that will run with you. Just show us where we're going.
That's what they keep saying. They just keep saying, what are we
And your
supposed
English
to
name
do?
is Gail?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Gail, I think her name is Gabrielle. So you're show us where we're going and we'll follow. But take the time and show us. And then build a freedom factor. As long as you are, it's completely dependent on you, you're so limited.
Right.
So we spoke about take the time to simplify what you're doing. So simplify the complexities of what you do. Codify, create it, just like Rambam, the Maimonides created a code. You need a code of how to do things so that others can do it as well. And now multiply. Use the law of multiplication. Nobody in the world has greater ability to use the law of multiplication with video and with writing and speaking than you do. Uh-huh. But take the time and simplify and codify it. And then how to do it as well.
We're going to lose our space.
Okay.
They're closing up.
Okay. So I can go on. This is
I'll share it. They'll be able to film it. The pieces of it.
Each of it I can discuss. They're quite fun. This one we spoke about. In order for something else to live, something must die. Are you with me?
Yeah. Yeah. They're just giving me a
prioritization.
Time signal. So.
Okay. So thank you for the time we spent together.
No, it's tremendous. I think it'll help a lot of people, and that's always the goal. You know.